What's going on, everyone? UFC Denver's coming up this weekend. Thug Rose takes on a short notice replacement for Macy Barber in Tracey Cortez, which should be a fun card. I mean, it's not in the Apex, which is a bonus. We don't have to deal with like 20 people in the crowd. And there are a few good fights in there. I think the Blackshear versus Montel Jackson's a good fight. I think Charles Johnson versus Joshua Van is a good one. Andre Petrovski is always a fun fighter to watch. So, you know, there are a few bangers in here. So we shouldn't complain too much. I know the main event's not that exciting, I guess, but you know, elevation might make a few fights interesting, and it's just a tough card to predict as a whole, so we might see a large variation in fighters winning and underdogs winning, which should be fun. Before we begin, we'll go over last week's overall card and what we did well. There's a recap video which you can see that I posted last week that goes over things in more depth, but I just wanted to point out that we got 9 out of 12 correct predictions, which is really good. It brings our total to 64% for the year. Both our safety parlays hit. I know one of them got lower odds because the Lopez and Ortega fight got scratched, but still we hit that. And we also hit the other one, implementing some unique ways to go about things. We put the racer to get one takedown in round 1 as one of our legs of the parlay, which hit. We also hit a few straights. We hit the Pyfer KO sub, and we hit the Smith and Dolidze fight starts round 3. So be wary or be aware that I'll have a best bets coming out later on this week, which you can watch as well, where I'll go through all these safety parlays and straights and also some long shots or nibbles, like I like to say. But other than that, I think without further ado, we should just go straight to the first fight, which is, I don't know if this is going to be the official first fight, but it was the first fight in Sherdog, so I'm just going to go with that for now, okay? Which is Joshua Van taking on Charles Johnson, which was a short notice fight that was put together like 2 weeks ago, I think, which this card really needed because it was down to like 9 fights or something like that, which is, you know, 9 fights is nothing, especially for those paying people in Denver. That would have been horrible for them to pay their tickets and then only get to watch, you know, 3-4 hours worth of UFC. They get to watch a few more fights here, and this is an add bonus. So we'll start off Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson's kind of made his name as like a short notice fighter who just steps up and takes on everyone, and that's what people love about him. He's a dog. He's fought everyone in the division, and he's tend to fought them on like short notice, like I've said. He's good everywhere. He's got some nice kicks, jabs. He's got wrestling offense. You saw that in the Maxim fight, and you also got some wrestling defense. You saw that in the Jake Hadley fight. Makayev, Durden, he showed in those fights he has some really good wrestling defense. He can be taken down, but what I mean by good wrestling defense is that he doesn't let it just stay there. He will get his way back into the fight. He won't get finished, and he'll always give himself a shot, especially in that 3rd round, which he showed to really take off opponents. He always tends to win that 3rd round because he has more gas in his opponents and more will to win. What we don't like about him is that, look, I know people don't bring it up that much, but he has been hurt a few times. In the Maxim fight, he nearly got finished in that 1st round, which is a concern because Maxim's not known to have that much power, and he doesn't have that credential striking. He also got hurt in the Ode Osborne fight, which people tend to forget about, because, you know, people think that Ode won, people think that Johnson won. It was a very close fight, but Ode did hurt him in that fight. Now, I'm going to get ridiculed for this a lot, but when I say this, take it into context of what I'm saying. He's not low volume, but he's kind of low volume in emphasis, if that's what, in significant strikes. I think that's a better way to say it. He throws a lot of feelers out there. They're feeling jabs, they're feeling teeps, but he doesn't really put anything together that really hurts his opponent. And I've noticed that in a lot of fights, he could really turn it up in the 3rd round and kind of finish his opponents. Like against Estevam, I thought he could have finished Estevam in the 3rd round, but he kept on just pouring at him. And sometimes you need to like put those significant strikes and the emphasis on his shots, which is the opposite of what Joshua Van is. Joshua Van is a fighter who he throws out the feelers, but he also throws out those power punches and those rips to the bodies that not a lot of people do in this division or in the UFC in general. You see boxers, but they headhunt. They don't throw to the body like Joshua Van does, and Joshua Van's made a real name for himself because he does that. His boxing combinations are absolutely beautiful. And you saw that in his last couple of fights. He's finishing opponents because he's putting everything together. Now, I know what people say, his takedown defense historically has been bad. It's how he encountered his only loss against Devon Jackson. He got taken down and he got finished on the ground there. But it's improving time by time. You saw that in the short notice fight against Zalgas, that he could stop takedowns, and he goes for the whizzer and he improves on that. Even against Felipe Boons, who's a very large opponent for this division, took him down but got back to his feet and put on the work. And that's how he's survived in the UFC and has made a name for himself. He's gotten back up to his feet and he's been able to just absolutely rip people to the body and beat him in the boxing. Now, I see a lot of people saying, oh, Johnson's going to be a lot larger than Van, which might be the case, but he also has struggled against these smaller people in Johnson himself. Johnson got a complete robbery against Zhalgas, who is, I would say, the stature of Van. Zhalgas beat Johnson by corralling him up against the fence and making Johnson not be able to use his long range striking. That's what Van's going to do. He's going to corral Johnson up against the fence, rip to the body, stop him, and he's been training. He was training for Tagir Ulanbekov, who is a much better wrestler, I think, than Johnson in terms of offensive wrestling. So I think Van has got the chops to be able to defend the takedowns if Johnson goes for them. It's not even a given that Johnson will go for them. Yeah, Johnson went for them in the Maxim fight, but who says he's going to go for them in this fight? You never know. And yeah, Denver, the altitude might play a concern in this fight, but I do think both fighters have good cardio. Definitely Johnson, and I do think Van has good cardio. We saw it in like the Zhalgas fight, which was short notice for him as well. And I just think the more impactful strikes are going to be coming from Van. It is a low confidence pick, don't get me wrong. I'm not like riding the horses of Van saying he's going to dominate Johnson. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I do think he's going to have the more significant shots of the fight, and I do think he can actually that was weird. I do think he can actually hurt Johnson, just like Maxim, just like Ode Osborne. So I'm gonna go on a flyer here, and I think I'm gonna take this by okay, I won't be that bold. I'm gonna take Van, but I'm gonna say he gets it by KO or decision. I'm not gonna go and say he completely gets it by KO, because I do see a realm where he's just landing the more significant strikes. So yeah, I'll go KO or decision just to cover myself. I'm not gonna go that bold, but yeah, I'm gonna Van's the pick, and I'm gonna fade the public opinion of Johnson, because I hear a lot of people going on Johnson. So yep, I'm gonna pick in Van here. Up next, we have the other short notice fight, which was Damon Blackshear versus Montel Jackson, which should be another banger. I mean, these two short notice fights they put together are both good fights, and they definitely add to the card. We'll start off with the Damon Blackshear side. So he's an underrated fighter that I think people just continuously underestimate his skill set. He was able to take down Mario Batista, which not even Ricky Simon was able to do, and he also took down people like Farid Basharat and Yusuf Zalal, which are all good wrestlers and all have significantly good takedown defense. He also has like decent striking. It's not the worst thing ever. He showed in the Batista fight, he showed in the Basharat fight, and you know, he has that skill set. It's not like he's only a wrestler. He can definitely strike on the feet. Now, what we've seen of him in the past is that he does tend to slow down in the third round. You saw it in the Yusuf Zalal fight where he nearly got finished. I think he got 10-8'd. You saw it in the Batista fight where he could have won that fight, but he used his poor fight IQ, and I think it was just tiring to clinch up with Batista, and then Batista was able to take advantage of that. And even in the Loosa fight where he was getting that finish on the floor, he looked like he was slowing down, and that was in the second round. And like I mentioned before, his fight IQ is not the best. He tried to clinch with Batista in the third round, which I don't think he should have done. I think he could have striked with Batista and possibly won that decision. And he went for a takedown against Basharat in the third round, which he knew he wasn't getting anymore. And he kind of got reversed there and fell to his back. And Basharat was able to ride the rest of the round on top and win that by decision himself. So yeah, he is a good fighter, but he slows down in the third round and he does have a bit of poor fight IQ. Now Jackson, he's a man that's trying to be again this top 15 opponent for ages, and it just hasn't worked out for him in the UFC in terms of getting his career trajectory going. He is a very good fighter, and he is, I think I saw a stat today, he's like in the top 5 or top 10 most powerful punchers in the UFC in terms of knockdown ratio. He has gotten a knockdown in I think every single one of his UFC fights, which is crazy, especially for this weight class and this division. And you can see it. He has these big hands, and he uses them to snipe his opponents. And he has like this composure that matches his skill set. He's a very relaxed fighter, and you see it in every single fight. But then all of a sudden, when his opponents are charging at him, he just snipes them and puts them down. Now he can be taken down himself. We saw Brett Johns take him down and actually beat him. You saw Julian Arce and JP Byers take him down. But in each of those fights, he got back to his feet, and like I mentioned, he's got those big hands, and he gets that wrist control, and he's able to get himself back up, and then he wins on the feet more times than not. I also think he is a bit low volume. He's, like I said, he's got the composure, but he's a bit slow in terms of he just I don't know, like he just finds his shots, but finds them too much. Sometimes he won't press the matter, and I know a fighter that has a better chin than those opponents might take the fight away from him, because they'll be able to last in those big exchanges and just get the higher volume out. Now, it might think 1 + 1 is 2. So like, Jackson has, you know, historically not the best takedown defense, and Blackshear's a very good wrestler. Blackshear took down people like Basharat. He should be able to take down Jackson. But you got to look at it in terms of context, and this is in altitude in Denver on short notice. I'm going to go with the guy who has more composure, the one who I think will be there in the 3rd round, and the one who I think will have the bigger impactful shots, and that's going to be Jackson here. Do I think Blackshear can get a takedown or body clinch in the 1st round or so? Yeah, I think he can. But do I think he will be able to do that or finish Jackson in those rounds? No, I don't think so. And will he tire in the 3rd round? Yeah, I do think he will tire if it gets there. So I'm going to take Jackson with the upside of being the more composed fighter, the one that will be able to last the whole 3 rounds, the one that will have the bigger shots. And I actually do think he gets that finish in rounds 2 or 3. I think he puts out Blackshear, finishes off what Zalal couldn't do, and gets that KO victory that he's been longing for. Yeah, he got it against, who did he get it against recently? It was the old man. Where am I going? He got it against Rani Yaha. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm just tired because of uni. But yeah, he got it with Rani Yaha. Yeah. Guys, this video sucks. He got the KO, okay? He got the KO that he's been longing for. I think he's going to get it here, rounds 2 or 3. I'm actually going to put down my best bets, but we'll get to that at the end of the week. So yeah, give me Montel Jackson here. Next up for UFC Denver, we have Fatima Kline versus Jasmine Jasudavicius, which is another short notice fight for this card. And it really sucks because I was really high on Jasmine to get that victory over Viviane Araujo, and I was really high on Fatima to come into the Contender Series and show the UFC and the general public what she's about, because I do think she's a really talented fighter. We'll start off with Jasmine because she was originally the fighter who was touted for this bout. And she's really shown to improve at the age of 35. I mean, in that Cortez fight, although she was getting boxed up herself, she showed some really nice straight punches and some really nice combinations, which we haven't seen in her past fights, because historically she is just a wrestler. I think she was an Olympic wrestler for the Canadian wrestling team, which is a really good feat to have in your arsenal. You know, she was also able to take down a wrestler in Cortez, which is something that not a lot of fighters can do. She, you know, in her last fight, she absolutely dominated Priscilla Cachoeira and finished her on the ground in round 3, which was good to see. And she dominated another wrestler in Miranda Maverick. So, you know, she does have the skill set to win these fights with her credentialed wrestling, I guess you can say. Now, she does have something that I've noticed a lot in her fights. She does not move her head, and it literally stays in the center line the whole time. And Cortez was made to look like Muhammad Ali out there because she was just able to find the target every single time she threw her combinations. Yes, Cortez got hit, but she also hit Jasmine quite a few times, and it was quite evident that her boxing defense was not as clean as her offense. Now for Kline, man, I think she's the real deal. I do not see a single flaw in her. She was able to strike, and you saw that striking in the Natalia Kuzatina fight, if I pronounced that correctly. She has really nice striking for someone who's predominantly a wrestler and grappler. That's what she is. She tends to go to the wrestling and grappling, but she can strike. You saw she can go a hard 5 rounds, and you saw in the Romero fight, she does not tire out. And that's going to do her well in this fight because it is short notice in Denver, which, you know, as we know, has high altitude, and fighters tend to gas out because of that the difference in the air and the altitude. Now, skill for skill, I think Fatima Kline has Jasmine covered everywhere. But there are variables to this, and it's obvious ones. It's upper weight class, it's on short notice, and it's in Denver in the altitude. However, I'm still going to pick Kline here because I think skill for skill, she is just the better fighter out of the two. I think she can push a pace just like Jasmine. I think she can strike better than Jasmine. I think she can wrestle just as good as Jasmine. And although she is probably going to be the smaller fighter, she's not that significantly smaller. She's 5'6" compared to 5'7". So you can't really say, oh, you know, if it was like a 5'2", 5'1", I'll be like, yeah, okay, this might make a difference here. But I think Fatima can strike with Jasmine and win minutes there. And I also think she can probably win the exchanges in the wrestling. We saw Jasmine get reversed on the floor before, and you know, it's not like Fatima is going to be worse than those opponents Jasmine's been fighting. People are saying Jasmine's only 4 cans, which is sort of true. I mean, I think the Natalia girl's quite a prospect. She's definitely put together a few good wins, but she's also fought people like Vanessa Demopoulos in the grappling tournaments and absolutely dominated her on top control. So, you know, she does have that experience. She always is fighting in these grappling tournaments. And I just think in this fight, she can win this. She definitely can. And, you know, it's going to be a low confidence pick. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be like, Kline's going to win this all day of the week, because there are a lot of variables going against her. But I think I'm going to take the skill for skill, better fighter here. And just, yeah, I'm going to take Kline by a submission or decision. Next up, we have Abdul, Razak, Alhassan versus the returning Cody Brundage, who I just don't understand how still in the UFC. But we'll get to that in a second. So Alhassan, you know, he's at the prime age of 38. No, not really. He's getting to the end of his career, and you can kind of see it in his last couple of fights. Now, what he does possess is some serious power, and you've seen it in his fights, you know, historically. He's got some beautiful leg kicks. He showed it in the Ribeiro fight, and he also showed it in the Piper fight. And this man here, was the main reason why I picked Jack Hermansson to beat Piper, because I saw Alhassan lighting up the legs of Piper, and I think Hermansson can do this too. And that's exactly what Hermansson did. So he does have some really nice leg kicks, and he does have some decent durability. I mean, he survived against Jacqueline Buckley and had a very competitive fight against him. And Buckley's just shown levels and is shown to make a real surge in this division. Against Joe Piper, he took the shots of Joe Piper, which, you know, we saw Marc-Andre Barrios not be able to do, and he made Piper take him down. And then Ribeiro, he survived the onslaught of Ribeiro in the first round and showed a veteran savvy experience to slow down Ribeiro and find the finish in the second round. He's also known to be a very credentialed judoka, which, you know, is probably, I don't know if it will play a part in this fight, but it might, because Brundage might go for a takedown and Alhassan might be able to reverse it using a hip toss or something like that. Now, what we've seen from him is that, like I said, he is 38 years old, which is never a good age to have in the UFC, especially, and he can be taken down. Buckley was able to take him down. Piper was able to take him down. Now, will Brundage be able to take him down? Maybe. Will Brundage go for the takedown? I don't know, because we'll get to Brundage now. What does he have? What does he have? I mean, seriously, what does he have? Power? Maybe? I mean, he caught Tracey Cortez coming in, and he hurt Vieira, I guess. And he's got that last-ditch gilly, I guess. But, like, man, if you're betting on Brundage, you're a crazy person, because I just don't understand how you can do so. He is the most unreliable person in the UFC. His fight IQ is just... it's not there. I mean, he had a chance in his last fight to show the UFC, I can, you know, stop these hype trains. I can be something against Bo Nickel. But what did he do? He was like trying to survive, I guess, and like try to be funny. But like, bro, this is your career. You're 30 years old. It's not like you're that old. You can make yourself, you know, into something. But no, he was just making these funny faces and being like, oh, Bo Nickel's doing nothing. But Bo Nickel was dominating him. You know, you're going to lose that fight if you get finished or not. You know, you're going to lose that fight. You're not going to get that extra check. And that's what he did. He got dominated by Malkoun. I mean, Zachary Reese, if he didn't get slammed, was probably going to latch up that triangle choke. Dumas was able to out-wrestle the wrestler. I mean, this guy, he goes for submissions against Rodolfo Vieira, the black belt hunter, and gets submitted himself. I mean, if you're picking Brundage here, I guess you're picking him for the fact that Alhassan might get out-wrestled or is 38. But from skill to skill, I just think Alhassan has him covered in terms of the power. I think Alhassan will catch Brundage coming in or something like that, because I do think he has the better durability of the two. And yeah, I mean, it's a low confidence because I don't think Alhassan's that good of a fighter either. But I'm just completely fading Brundage here, and I think Alhassan will be able to get the KO, or will be able to do something on the ground by reversing a sloppy Brundage takedown. So yeah, give me Alhassan here. Give me him by KO. Low confidence pick. Next up, for UFC Denver, we have Andre Petrovski returning after getting KO'd by a hip versus Josh Fremd, who took an absolute beating against Roman Kopylov. So, should be a fun fight. I mean, I guess that plays into Petrovski. I'll start off with Petrovski because, yeah, I did mention he got KO'd by a hip, and he did. He got KO'd by Jacob Malkoun after Petrovski tried to shoot him for a takedown, and yeah, I mean, that's a bit embarrassing, which, okay, we'll start off with his pros. So he is a very good grappler and wrestler, and that's proven in his fights. He was able to take down Jacob Malkoun. He was able to take down GM3. Even Maximov, he was able to submit. And he's shown in those fights that he does have very good grappling. He can reverse positions even if he's on bottom. The problem with him is that he has chin concerns, aka getting KO'd by a hip, and he has cardio concerns. I mean, in the GM3 fight, he was dead in the 3rd round, and even in the Brian Battle fight on the Ultimate Fighter, he gassed himself out. He does not have good cardio, and he doesn't have good chins. But if he didn't have those, this would be the biggest max bet of the year for me. Absolutely, he is skill for skill better than Josh Fremd. Now we'll go to Josh Fremd. He's, I don't think, good anywhere, okay? He's okay everywhere, just not good anywhere. He doesn't excel in striking, he doesn't excel in wrestling, he doesn't excel in cardio. It's just, you know, he might have a bit of power to him because he did actually hurt Dumas, and he also did hurt Trajan Gore. So, you know, I guess he has a little bit of power, which will play a part in this fight because Petrovski can't take a shot. And, you know, he has all right straight shots. He was having some success against Jamie Pickett. But what concerns me in this fight is he got taken down by Jamie Pickett, and his back was completely exposed to Jamie Pickett. All Jamie Pickett had to do was put in some hooks, and he would have probably taken the back and tapped out Fremd. But Jamie Pickett is just another horrible fighter himself. I guess this plays into the part of my prediction. I am at a medium confidence here on Petrovski. Don't get me wrong, fight doesn't go decision any day of the week. I think that's a pretty safe thing, which might play into my safety parlay at the end of the week. Maybe I'll research it a bit more. But Petrovski, I think he will be able to take down Josh Fremd, and I think he'll be able to find a relatively fast submission before his cardio concerns come into play, because Josh Fremd, like I said, got taken down by Jamie Pickett, can be taken down. I mean, Trajan Gore also took him down. So, yeah, I think Petrovski will be able to have a sleuth of success on the ground. It's just if he gets the finish or not. Because if he doesn't get the finish, I think Josh Fremd finishes him. Because I think the altitude does not help him at all. And I think he'll be like dead after the first round. I think if the second round hits, he's gone. He's a goner. So I think Josh Fremd will be given on his lap. He won't even need to have good striking or power. He will be given God's gift, a walking target and a walking punching bag that he can shortly after finish. But yeah, I still don't think it gets that. I think Petrovski finds the finish in the first round by submission. Next up for UFC Denver, we have Luana Santos versus Marya Agapova, which is like the battle of the rumors, because both have some relatively important stories to share. Luana Santos in her last fight said that she had like a disease going into the fight, and it made her not able to cut weight, and it really tampered with her cardio and her whole weight cutting scenario. And then you got Marya Agapova, who's apparently homeless, you know, is battling addiction, and you know, she got like extorted by someone, and you know, just life's not going well for her at the moment, which I feel really bad for her. I feel a lot worse for Agapova than I do for Santos, but still, I mean, I guess it's a fight that I have to break down. So we'll start off with the Agapova side, I guess. She is a very good striker, and you've seen it in her fights in glimpses. So the Sabina Marzo fight, she was able to show some beautiful striking, and I think she got the finish in like the 3rd round there. Hannah Cifers absolutely dominated her, but Hannah Cifers was like an atom weight. Should never have been in any division. She is the tiniest girl ever, even though she was built. And against Robertson as well, she was showing some really good striking. She also has not the worst takedown defense. And what I mean by that is that against the cage, she's able to stop the first shot. But once it gets to the floor is where she really struggles. Because you've seen it in her fights, her grappling is horrible. Sabina Marzo was able to out-grapple her. Robertson was able to out-grapple her. Dobson was able to out-grapple her. And what does the grappling do? It really tires her out. She has alright cardio when it's standing, but when she's on the floor, she is just... her gas tank just goes... It's out of there. And she's tried in some grappling tournaments. I give her props to that. But even in those grappling tournaments, and you can even watch them on UFC Fight Pass, they're there for everyone, she gets dominated. The grappling's not there for her, and that might show to be a bad thing in this fight. Luana Santos, yeah, she was able to finish Miller on the feet, but she is a judoka and she is a grappler at heart. She is okay with her striking, but it's pretty sloppy, and it leaves her a lot of openings for her opponent. And I think Agapova will be the much better striker in this fight. but she has very good judo. She was able to take down Ega, who is also a judoka, and I think an Olympic judoka herself, and she used the traditional head and arm throw, but she able to get her to the floor and kind of win from there. She does get tired though, and I saw it in her fight against Ega, but she used her I guess her clinch and her just will to win the last third round. So you do know that even if she does get tired, she will fight for your money and for her career. Now I think this fight comes to the two scenarios here. Does Luana Santos get the takedown? I think she does. And if she does, I think she finishes Agapova. Is Agapova able to stop the takedowns? No. Can she get back to her feet? Maybe. Will the cardio be a concern? Yes, it probably will. So I just think everything lies into the Santos side. I think she has the better variables to win this fight. I mean, even if it gets to the third round, I trust Santos to win that third round more than Agapova. And yeah, I mean, I really feel bad about Agapova because I do want her to win, because I want her to turn her life around. But sometimes it's just, you know, it's just what it is. And I'm going to take Santos. I'm going to take her by a submission victory here. And I do think she gets it within the first 2 rounds. So give me Santos by submission. Next up, we have Julian Erosa versus Christian Rodriguez, which should be another good fight. I forgot to mention that in my intro, but this is a very good fight. And, you know, Julian Erosa is never in a boring fight. So we got that to look forward to. We'll start off with the Erosa side. So he is a very good fighter all round. He has excellent striking. He has very good leg kicks. He showed it in the Dawodu fight. I mean, before he got knocked out by Caceres, which was like a knockout of the year, I thought. He looked to have very good striking. And he's got some good jiu-jitsu. I mean, he subbed Ramos, he subbed Jourdain, and he mixes in his wrestling as well. What gets Erosa in trouble is his striking defense, and especially his chin. Out of his 11 losses, 7 of them have been KO'd. And I mean, he made Steven Peterson look like a world-class boxer. I think that should tell you everything you need to know in terms of his striking defense. I mean, Padilla knocked him out. Ramos hurt him before he gassed out himself in the first round and got submitted. I mean, this guy's liability, his chin is a liability, and it should always be a concern when you're capping fights for him. Now, for Rodriguez, I feel like his UFC career has been a bit of a stain because he's missed weight a couple of times. And although I picked him to beat Bulgarian, a lot of people thought Bulgarian won that fight and it was a robbery. So, you know, he's got a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. But he is also a very good all-round fighter. He has beautiful step-in knees and elbows, and he's got his defensive wrestling. He also has underrated grappling. You know, in the JSP fight on short notice, he actually got JSP in some very precarious situations. So yeah, he is a very good fighter. I think he's probably the better fighter out of the two. But what gives me concern about this fight is not Julian Erosa being the better fighter of the two. It is Rodriguez coming up to 145, which I think is not the weight class for him. I still think he is too small for this weight class. I think if he tightened up his diet, or maybe he has like big bones or something, but he should really be a division lower. And secondly, I noticed in a lot of his fights, he goes to his knees when he gets up from takedowns and he exposes his front neck. What is Julian Erosa's best sub? It's the Bravo choke. It's the Das chokes. It's the front chokes. If he does that to Erosa, I promise you, Erosa is going to try and snatch up one of those submissions. And it might hit, it might not hit, but it's going to get Rodriguez into trouble. So he was going to be in my safety parlay, but I am far from it now because this is going to be a complete opposite. This is going to be a low confidence pick. I still think Rodriguez hurts Erosa. I still think he can with the knees or the elbows or something like that. But if Rodriguez gets taken down and he exposes his neck, I think Erosa can definitely get the sub. So I think a better way to go about this is fight doesn't go to decision, but still, it's a high variable fight. It's volatile. You don't know what's going to happen because Erosa could have the best chin ever. You remember Dawodu? Everyone thought Dawodu was going to go past Erosa. Erosa's chin held up in that fight. So, you know, it's a fighter who you just can't go against in terms of Erosa. Everyone thought that Ramos was going to win that fight, and Ramos goes and hurts him and then gets subbed like a minute later. So yeah, be careful. Don't put Rodriguez in all your parlays. I do think he wins this fight at a low confidence pick, but still, caution. Be aware of the sub. Maybe play Erosa by sub, but it probably won't even be a good number because everyone's aware of it now. But yeah, I'll take Rodriguez and I'll take him by KO. Next up for UFC Denver, we have the returning Gabriel Bonfim after his first career loss against Ange Loosa, who, you know, got lucky with that no contest against Brian Battle because he was getting thoroughly beat. But we'll go with Gabriel Bonfim, I guess. So, what is he? He is a grappler. Now, I want people to hear this, and I want people to hear this in the nicest way possible. Gabriel Bonfim, from what I've seen, is not a good striker. You saw in that Trevin Giles fight, you cannot tell me in that Trevin Giles fight that those boxing combinations were good. He might be a world champion Brazilian national boxer or whatever he was, but still, you watch those combinations, he was throwing wild shots, and if he does that against a fighter who can take those shots and counter, he's going to get knocked out. It's also no way that he can last 3 rounds doing that type of style. You saw that in the Nicholas Dalby fight. That was a vet lesson that he got, because you cannot go balls to the wall and try and win a fight in the first round in every single fight, because there are going to be fighters that know how to defend strikes or defend submissions and have better cardio and conserve their gas tank. That also shows that in this fight here, there's a huge concern, because this is in Denver at high altitude and you never know what can happen. Now, what does he do have? He has beautiful submissions, and I think that's his best asset. He has takedowns as well to accompany those submissions. You saw in the Nicholas Dalby fight, although Nicholas Dalby gets taken down by most people, he did have some good takedowns on him. He also has the submissions. You saw in the Marya Lazez fight, in the Trey Waters fight, in the Contender Series, and even in the Trevin Giles fight, that he can snatch up these beautiful submissions, which I do think is his best trait by far. Now, for Ange Loosa, what does he have? He has some good boxing. You know, he goes to the body head and he mixes it in. Against McKee and against Fletcher, he showed that he has some very good boxing, and he also has some good wrestling that he likes to mix in as well. Now, will he wrestle in this fight? I don't think he will, which brings me to my prediction. I am going to pick Bonfim because I do think a large skill set of Loosa is getting removed from this fight. If he goes in for a takedown, I do think he's going to get his neck snatched up. And it resembles the Michelle Waterson versus Robertson fight from UFC 303, which I predicted Robertson quite heavily, because I thought that Waterson's main skill set, which I think nowadays was the wrestling, is going to get heavily removed because the threat of the submissions. I think Loosa, who is a good boxer, is relies on his wrestling, and I don't think he'll be able to do so in this fight. So he's going to have to strike with Bonfim the whole time. Do I think he can strike with Bonfim the whole time? Yes, but do I think that Bonfim will be able to get this to the fight to the floor? Yes, I do think he will. It's a low confidence pick because I still am not 100% on Bonfim. I really don't think he's going to make any title run in this division. I might be wrong. Maybe that was just a bad showing in the Trevin Giles fight about his boxing. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there's just so much. You know, Loosa himself gasses out. He gassed himself in the Fletcher fight as well, and he looked horrible against Battle. So, man, all I know is that Bonfim at this price tag, like minus 400, is no-go. Do not parlay him up. Do not do anything with him. Probably fight doesn't go decision is a way better way to play this fight, but I'm still going to pick Bonfim. I'm going to pick him to get a submission. I just think maybe Loosa shoots in for a bad takedown and gets his neck snatched up. But man, this is a low confidence pick. I do not have trust in any of these fighters. And yeah, that about wraps it up for this fight. I'm just going to leave it there. Bonfim submission, round 1 or 2. Another short notice replacement for UFC Denver. We have Drew Dober taking on Gene Silva, my man on what, 2 weeks notice, I think, yeah, or 1 week's notice. Either way, coming off that knockout over Jourdain, which I predicted. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for that one. But yeah, we'll start off with him. So he is a good boxer, a very good boxer, and I noted that in my last fight prediction against Jourdain. He has beautiful combinations and accuracy. He always hits a target, and you could see it in the Kevin Vallejos fight on the Dana White Contender Series. You also saw in the Weston Wilson fight. I know a lot of people don't credit Weston Wilson being a good fighter, which he's not, but the combinations and the accuracy and the power that he was landing on Weston Wilson was something that you should really note of pretty good significance, especially Weston Wilson's height. He found the target beautifully. And then the Jourdain fight, you know, Jourdain was putting on the pressure on him, but Silva was picking his shots and put down Jourdain twice. He hurt him once and put him down, and then he finished him off with that beautiful uppercut in the clinch. He also has good cardio. You saw it in the Vallejos fight. He picked it up in the second and third rounds in a very high volume war. What I do note about him that's a negative in this fight is that he is going up to 155 from 145, and this is short notice in altitude, which does play a factor in this fight. He also does have lulls in moments. You know, he does sometimes just stare at his opponent and waits for the perfect opportunity to counter them or hit his perfect combination, which is a concern. Now, Drew Dober, I see him as just a come-forward boxer. That's all I see him. Now, he does have bad takedown defense, but I don't think this will play into this fight. Maybe, you know, Silva does coming out of the Fighting Nerds camp, which are a very good camp to come out of, and they might game plan to take down Dober, but I don't think they will. I don't think they have that in the arsenal here. And, you know, I just think Drew Dober is a take one to give one type of fighter. He will rely on his chin. He will rely on his durability to hit his opponent and get hit in the process and kind of push his opponent back against the cage. Now, one thing that I noticed, and I think everyone noticed about Drew Dober, is he doesn't move his head. Doesn't move his head. And he, like I said, will take one to give one. Now, I'm backing Gene Silva here. And I'm backing him because I think he has the better defense, he has the more power, and he will land the more accurate shots in these combinations. I think he will knock out Drew Dober, and I'm going to say it here now, because I think Drew Dober is getting up there in age, and I think in Denver, he's going to try and put on a show, try and get that, you know, that knockout, that exciting fight, and I just think Gene Silva's going to catch him. I mean, I'm going to play ends by KO here all day, every day, and that's going to be my best bets, I promise you that. But yeah, I just think this fight is going to be a barn burner, and it's going to last under 2 rounds. I think someone's going to get the knockout here. I'm going to pick Silva because, like I said, I think he has the better combinations. You've seen it before. You've seen Dober get touched up before. He was getting touched up by Bobby Green until he corralled him against the fence and just landed that bomb on him. And, you know, I think the more skilled fighter is Gene Silva, and I think Drew Dober, as his age goes up, as his wars continue, he is going to start cracking, as seen in the Matt Favola fight, and his chin is slowly going to go away, and I think Silva is going to be the one to cracks it and puts him out cold. So give me Gene Silva by KO in rounds 1 or 2. The co-main event of UFC Denver, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Muslim Salikhov, the battle of the ages, the battle of the prime ages, I would say. I mean, a good fight, okay? Good fight. It's just, it's a shame because, you know, you want the co-main to have a bit of aura, a bit of significance on the division, but I'll take it, okay? So we'll start off with Ponzi. So everyone sees him as a boxer, but I see him as a very prominent leg kicker. He chews up the legs of his opponents. He chewed up Kevin Holland's legs. He chewed up Baez's legs. Oh my God, that was a hard fight to watch because both of their legs were just absolutely battered. And he also leg kicked Morono as well. He has good 3-round cardio. He was able to go the distance with Pereira, who's on an absolute steamroll right now. And even Jeff Neal, he was able to go 3 rounds and have a hard-fought battle with him. He's fought the best competition in the division. He's fought Pereira, Gunnar Nelson, Jeff Neal, Kevin Holland, Mike Perry. I mean, he's fought a sleuth of opponents, and he's come away with most of them. Now, what we've seen with his age is his durability is definitely going. He got dropped 3 times by Morono, and Morono hurts nobody. Like, it was a very bad look seeing him get hurt in multiple occasions against Morono. He also got KO'd by a one-handed Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland broke his hand, or like his hand was still hurting in that fight from the previous fight. And he was able to KO Ponzinibbio with one hand. So take of that what you will. Now, for Salikhov, I wouldn't say his durability is the best either. He's 40 years old and he's been hurt. Well, he got KO'd by Randy Brown in the first round. Got KO'd by Leach, and even Dalby hurt him with that head kick and dropped him. So, you know, his durability is not the best either. But what I do think he still has is he has some very good leg kicks of his own. You saw Randy Brown's legs getting chopped up by him, and his striking is still very fast and good. I've seen people saying, oh, he's slowing down. He's not slowing down. His striking is still very fast and very good. You saw at the start of the Brown fight, he was hitting Brown with some very fast kicks and punches. You saw in the Fiallo fight, he was landing on Fiallo like a body bag. He was destroying Fiallo. And, you know, he's even got some wrestling. He saw him take down the Leech, and he could probably implement it in this fight here. Now, like I said, his durability is bad, and he's 40 years old, and that's a large concern here. But I am still going to pick Muslim Salikhov, because I'm going to pick him because I think he's going to have the faster shots of the two, and I think he's just going to catch Ponzinibbio in the first round before Ponzinibbio can really implement his game. Now, if it doesn't get caught in the first round, I think Ponzinibbio wipes Salikhov out, because I think he's just going to land the leg kicks here, and he's going to chew up Salikhov's legs, and as the fight wears on, I think he's going to have the better cardio of the two. But I don't think it gets there. I think Salikhov finishes Ponzinibbio in the first round. I think he's going to find the target. He's going to be too fast for Ponzinibbio, and you know, you might even see one of those spinning wheel kicks that he's known for. So yeah, give me Salikhov. It's very low confidence, don't get me wrong, but Salikhov, I think he's going to get the first round KO. And for the main event for UFC Denver, Thug Rose takes on Tracey Cortez. Boy, am I excited. No. I'm not excited, but oh man, I don't know how anyone ever got excited for a Thug Rose fight. I'm sorry, I really am, but just her personality just doesn't blend with my personality. I don't know, but I just can't seem to like her as a fighter or as her own personality. But either way, we're gonna break down the fight. And it's short notice for Cortez, which is unfortunate because, you know, I think she really could be a prominent figure in this division. But, you know, this fight is very volatile for her. And what is Cortez? She is historically a wrestler. That's what she relied on her fight. She relied on that in the Gato fight, in the Justine Kish fight. She relied on her wrestling as well. But, you know, in the Jasudavicius fight, she showed that she has some very good boxing. And is that because Jasudavicius just doesn't move her head and made her look like a very good boxer? I don't know. We get to see, we'll probably see in this fight. What we don't like about her, or what she has to improve on, is that she can be taken down herself. You know, Gato got her down, Jasudavicius got her down, and she also can be walked down. You saw in the Justine Kish, that was a very, very close fight. I think Justine was like plus 400, and I had a bet on Justine all the way back then, because I thought that Justine had the better striking of the two, and she did. And she was able to walk down Cortez, but fortunately for Cortez, her wrestling bailed her out. But she saw in that 3-round fight, she was definitely getting tired because she does not do well going backwards. Even Jasmine, Jasudavicius made it a close fight because Jasmine was pushing the pace and was making Cortez have to basically rely on her boxing solely because Jasmine was the one that was trying to take her down. Now for Rose, she has all the skills, every single skill. She's a very good striker and she's got the wrestling, she's got the jiu-jitsu. I mean, people discredit that that upper weight class fight against Manon Fiorot. People really discredit that. That's a very good fight to have, and she broke her finger, like completely discolored it in the first round, and she still had a war with Manon, who's, you know, fighting for a title soon. So, you know, you can't really discredit Rose. She also dealt well with Amanda Ribas, who, I don't care who says, is a very tough fight in this division because she just non-stop herky-jerky style that not a lot of people can capture, you know, the in and out movement of her. What we don't necessarily know about Rose is her mental. It's all about her mental. She can have a outlook in a fight like in that Esparza 2 fight, or she can go against someone like in the Zhang fight where she just head kick KO'd Weili Zhang. People like forgetting that she beat Weili Zhang twice. Like the Weili Zhang that's just absolutely butchering and dominating everyone, she beat her twice. I mean, man, people got to put some respect on Rose because she is a very good fighter. Now, I do think Tracey Cortez can have success with the wrestling in the first 2 rounds because Rose has been taken down a few times. But Rose always gets back to her feet, and she gets up to her feet immediately. This is a 5-round fight. You gotta remember that. And this is short notice for Cortez. Rose was training to fight Macy Barber, whereas Cortez was training to fight in like 2 weeks or something like that. So, and it wasn't 5 rounds, it was 3 rounds. So Rose should have the cardio advantage here. And does Cortez finish Rose in the first 2 rounds? I don't think so. Do you think she's going to have the power and the will to be able to take down Rose in the final, in like the 3rd round and the 4th round and the 5th round? I don't think so. So I think this is a Rose spot, and I'm actually going to give Rose a medium confidence pick here because, I mean, what's going to happen in the last 3 rounds? Do you think, like I said, do you think Cortez is going to continue to get those takedowns? No, I don't think so. So give me Rose here. I'm going to take Rose by rounds 4 or 5 a decision because I'd see a world where Rose might even find a finish in the later stages because Cortez is that gassed. But yeah, I mean, it's a women's MMA fight. You can never be too high confidence on it. But I'll take Rose, and I'll take her a medium clip to get, like I said, the round 4 or 5 or decision. And that wraps up the card. 11 fights. I mean, they definitely saved this card with those short notice replacements. Otherwise, man, this would have been an absolute stinker of a card. But yeah, that wraps it up. I'm probably going to stop waffling on now because it's probably a long video. I'm going to have my best bets out later on in the week. So you can follow my safety parlay. We're 3 for 3 for safety parlays. I only implemented them 2 cards ago, but we did 2 safety parlays for last card because it was a big event. And we did 1 previous to that. So we're 3 for 3. Hopefully we can go 4 for 4. I'm going to come out with the best bets and then we'll have a recap after the fight card is done. Other than that, keep on studying your own tape. Make your own decisions. This is only here to help you. It's not here to determine who you pick and what happens. But yeah, other than that, I guess you should enjoy your week and I'll catch you guys later. Yeah.